Hello, my name is Roxy. This is a studio vlog filmed from April to around June. I painted a painting that I've been working on for a few months, and halfway through the video I will actually talk a bit about my commercial work. I had a live painting job for, of all people, Harry Styles in the pop-up shop in Amsterdam. And I'm taking you with me through my process and talk a bit about how I get those sort of jobs. I hope you enjoy, and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos, and leave a comment with your thoughts. I always love to read them. So this is the starting point of what I made. I am pretty happy with it. The only problem now is that I really like the yellow, but I actually wanted to make it white with a yellow tint. We'll see. They are constantly evolving. I'm loving the thicker frames, by the way, especially when I see them next to each other. I really want to go for the thicker frames for every painting, I think, every larger painting, because it makes a lot more sense portion-wise, even though I've not looked into framing yet, and it's probably going to be a problem because they're a lot thicker and they're not like a standard size. We'll see about that later. I've been filming like a lot of painting sequences and not a lot of vloggy things, but I am doing a lot of things, but I just can't really take the camera with me when I go live illustrating. It's been a lot of live illustrating lately. Not done a lot of workshops,
That's a little quiet right now. I'm also changing up some things with workshops, so it might just be that either Google is learning my website again, or that is just that I'm not promoting it as much. But that leaves me time for painting, which is nice. And I really want to include these pieces in my new portfolio before I do like new grants prize, like a yearly prize in the Netherlands as well. That's really good. And I want new work. I am, however, realizing that I set a goal for myself this year to finish 8 large paintings. This is just 3. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish 8, even though it seems like a really realistic goal. The time that it takes is just, I underestimated it, especially if you do other work alongside it. I think we're at 1 finished painting now, sort of 1. Yeah. I just got the news that I got the coolest live painting job. I'm gonna paint on canvas in a pop-up store to celebrate the concerts of Harry Styles. Of course, I got super enthusiastic, so I ran to the store to get some new materials. It's the first time I'm painting on canvas live. I've done a few live paintings with acrylic and ink on paper, but I haven't done it with acrylics and canvas. So we'll see. I wanted to get some inspiration in the store. I think I'm gonna use acrylics and oil pastels. So let me show you what I got. The canvas I'm working on is gonna be 60 by 80 centimeters, which is quite large. I may have underestimated that a little bit, but I do have the entire day. And I got some new paints, the fancy ones. I wanted to try these for the longest time. I like, by the way, that you can see on the bottle how transparent the color is. These are the heavy body ones. There's also the more fluid ones, but I prefer having heavy body, and then I can water them down. So I'm gonna do some tests with these. I got a new bottle of fixative because if I'm using oil pastels, I'm gonna need to fix it. And then I got my favorite oil pastels. These are Senneliers, they're the best. I have a few, but what I didn't have were the small ones. So I usually use the bigger ones, but now since I don't know how it's gonna be, maybe there's gonna be lots of details. Got the smaller ones as well. These colors, and then so these are all the colors that I got. I just looked at the page of the branding agency and what backdrops they had, and just went by intuition. I have no guidelines. I can do whatever I want, I think. It's just gonna be the store with people, with some elements of the store in the back, I think, maybe some photos or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna be surprised when I get there, but I am trusting in my intuition. I really hope that I can film the process. I'm gonna need my phone to make like images during the event. But otherwise, I'm just gonna do some small footage in between, I think. If I can share it, I hope I can share it. I haven't signed anything that I can't share it. I just signed an NDA to not talk about it. But this is private and it's gonna be after the event, so exciting. What else? Oh, and I also got a field easel. So I ordered one. I went to the store. I ordered one that has like a box in there. So it's like a French easel. They're a little bit wobbly, but I tried it out like pushing it a little bit in the store, and I think it's gonna work. I also wanna put my name on the sides, and I already wanted to order one of those because I want to do some plein air painting sometime, and it's nice to be prepared. And I can move. The thing that I liked about it is that you can move the easel part down and up, so in case I have a job that requires ink on paper, then I can just move it down and have like a little table. And some easels are just static. And honestly, I really hate easels, but I do get that you have to have an easel to work on. So it's nice that you can at least change up the way that it works. Oh yeah.
So I thought it would be nice to, while I set up this easel and I paint it, explain a little bit how I got this job. I have been live illustrating since 2019, obviously with a little break from no events at all. So I've built up my client base over those years. That has been 7 years, 7 years of live illustrating. The live illustrating scene is very small, it's very tiny, it's very niche, even worldwide, I would say. I think it's becoming a bit of a trend now to have a live illustrator at your wedding, but especially for corporate events, it's still just word of mouth and having worked with bigger clients, and that makes you work with other bigger clients. The way that I got approached by this job was just via email. And the Harry Styles team, they have a client. Not exactly sure which client it is in the Netherlands, but I think in the US it was American Express, so I wouldn't be surprised it's the same client. They hire a production company and they do like all these stores, and they do that worldwide, and then for every store they have like different activations and stuff. Now in the Netherlands, they approached me, so it was via a production company, and they just found me via Google. I asked, and I apparently was just on top of the list. Most of the time, agencies or production companies, whatever, is the person that hires you. They have like a list of live illustrators or various live illustrators that they approach, and then they ask for a quote. I send them the quote. There's a bit of back and forth in what you can do and what you can offer, how much that changes the quote, and then they say yes or no. So most of the time there's a list of a few. I don't know in this case if there were other live illustrators approached as well. I think so, because it's a pretty big job, or a big name at least. But they usually go with the one that works best for their brand or for their company. I am mostly in like the hipper, younger crowd, I think. A lot of fashion as well, because I use a lot of colors, but I don't do it in like the chic, elegant way. I can, but it's just a bit of a different handwriting than the classical like Dior fashion illustration. I know a few illustrators that work in that direction, and I've had jobs that I was approached to go to other illustrators because they have more of that handwriting, which is fine. In this case, I think I was the best fit because, I mean, the illustration or the painting just really fit the store as well. So if you were wondering how I get those jobs, this was literally just via my website. And usually the bigger jobs go via agencies and production companies. It's not directly with the client. Although sometimes I do have contact directly with the client in case of the recent job that I did for Sony, for Gorilla, the video game company, which was a dream. They contacted me directly from that company. So kind of depends if they have like a marketing department or if they don't. Sometimes it's PR companies and then they work for a brand. So it depends. I'm going to make some practice sketches today. So I am working on the easel using the palette that I'll be taking with me, but just working at a smaller scale and see kind of what materials I want to mix. I know I can do atmosphere paintings, but it's not something I've ever really done in exactly this format live. So to remind myself of what I can actually do, I do the practice sketches. So whenever I feel overwhelmed on the event, I can look back at those paintings like, you've done this before, you can do this. And then I can actually finish the work and it's gonna be good. So let's start some practice sketches. En dan die gekke groen. These practice paintings did not go perfectly, but that's why I do them, to practice. I tried smaller sizes first and I didn't want them to be like these kitsch wedding paintings. I wanted them to be more like me, more like my own handwriting. But that was a challenge because it's something that I don't usually work at. It's a much bigger scale on a smaller surface. So working that small was hard. The first painting I don't want to see ever again. Just for realistic purposes, I am gonna put it in the video. You won't see the result for very long. It's pretty shitty, but I'm gonna include it anyway. I think after this I was a little bit spiraling. I chose a image that I took from a Rosalia concert, since it was more music related, and that went a little bit better. So the scene I chose was a little bigger than what I'm gonna paint. And the paper was obviously very small, but it was good to try out acrylics again because I mainly work with oil now, but it's just not practical to bring oil with me, and it takes a lot longer. So good exercise. I'm gonna do another one because I wanna be a bit more comfortable, but I actually really like working on the easel. I expected it to be a lot more uncomfortable, and this was fine. I still wasn't really happy with his painting. It still felt not really like me, like I was pretending to be someone else. So I did it again. "35 minutes. We are at this stage. I liked painting this a lot more. It's a little bit more focused, so I think that's what I'm going to bring with me to the assignment as well. Get more focus points, group people a bit more. Obviously, this is a stage, so it's going to be different than a landscape, but I think this is a bit more like I want it. Here's the big painting. It's going to be quite a size difference, and if I would have painted this on this size, I could have painted her face as well. Yeah, and it would have been just a lot more detailed, and I could have put in a little bit more of my own handwriting, because I don't want it to be too generic. I don't want it to be too vague. So sometimes you're just not having your day. I wanted to try one last time, but I didn't want to make myself crazy over this because I knew I could do it. I've done it before. I was just overthinking it. So for this last try, I actually looked at the venue that that production company had done before and used their images because that was what I was going to paint, but it was still pretty small, and I wanted to figure out if I could zoom in a little bit more. Still not what I wanted, but at least it was getting closer. Okay, I feel a lot better about this version. It feels a lot more like me instead of the impressionistic painting, I guess. I wouldn't be finished with this, by the way. I would use a lot more of the time to make like finishing touches, but I feel like we're at this stage now where I feel like we could make that work. And I'd rather do something else now. Again, it's the size we're working on, so it's quite a lot bigger. But what helped me a lot was to size up a tiny bit and size up the figures a little bit. Like I really like this group of people now because I put them in the same tone. And then this person is just a little bit more lit. I
I combined like screenshots of a video. So this is one scene, I made the figures up. And then this is another scene, but then together they make up this one thing. Prefer this one to the other two.
A little cutie visit the studio. After this, I painted one more painting on a bigger size. I was happy with the technique I used there, and I used that technique at the actual venue. And this is how it all turned out.
Hey, hallo. Nee, het is allemaal heel interessant, hè? It turned out really good. I'm very happy with the painting. It did not turn out into a kitsch painting, maybe a little bit, but I think all those live paintings are a little bit kitsch. But I'm happy with the composition, I'm happy with the colors, I'm happy with the technique, and I think everyone liked it. I'm happy, I'm proud to show it instead of being like not proud and people still being happy. I think maybe that sounds weird, but I want it to be good for my own eye as well, instead of just like delivering the end result. And I think I did that with this painting. So I actually used it as an example for another client, for another international client, big one. So yeah, that's kind of the thoughts that go into my mind when I do a new live painting job. I want to do like the best I can. And then as I get comfortable, as I get more comfortable with the actual job, the stress gets a little bit lower. But this being the first time doing something like that was exciting. Yeah. I'm gonna unpack my stuff now. The easel was great, by the way. I would definitely recommend it. I looked up a lot of live painters and how they handled their compositions and stuff. And in that search, I saw a lot of easels. And I saw that almost everyone uses the same easel. So if you're looking for a field easel and you're not on a cliff or outside where it's very windy, then I would say this one is a really good one. Unpacking now, kind of letting the excitement go, getting back to my own paintings again, which is sometimes hard because you're in such a commercial mindset. I've been doing my emails this morning as well. I think I'm gonna get my lunch first and then go back, take the afternoon to paint and not worry about all the thoughts that go in my mind. But yeah, it's also fun because when I came back home, I thought maybe I should just jump on the excitement of my name being linked to Harry Styles and all the stories on Instagram doing so well. So I actually had dinner with my partner and his mom. I drank a little bit of wine and we got home and I got home and he was still there. And I recorded the reel a little bit tipsy. But fuck it, let's just do it and get it out of the way and jump on the hype. And it got really, it had a lot of views. About 10K with Instagram and YouTube combined, which is for me quite a lot, which means like everyone that follows me has seen it. So I'm actually happy that I recorded that tipsy reel. And the next morning I immediately edited the painting photos. So that was Saturday and Sunday. So it's been a little bit of a weird weekend. A lot of excitement and exhaustion, and excitement and exhaustion again. So I took Monday off, and now we're here. Let's get back to normal excitement levels and see how it goes. Even kijken of dat gaat. Yeah, nice. I used some oil pastels as well, so I'm happy that I brought them. Didn't use that much of them, but I do like the drawn effects that they add right at the end. And I'm also happy that I drew the sketch with charcoal, as that gave me some interesting lines. And I thought of doing that in color, but then I decided against it because it was already going to be pretty busy. Normally I love using all kinds of color, but in this case I was like, you know, I think there's going to be enough color. I think we're good. So the oil pastels were nice, and the colors that I brought were really nice as well. It just gets really dirty. So I am pretty deep into event season, which is my most commercial work, my most commercial time of work. I do a lot of live illustration and events. May and June is event season. September, October, November, those months are also event seasons. But the start of the year is kind of where it's like a pretty short season, and then you have the summer, like almost nothing's going on, maybe some weddings, and then the other event season is starting again. And I had lost the motivation to work on the paintings that I've been working on, because I feel like the commercial mind, I guess, is very different from my creative brain, and they do not go together. So it's either the commercial one and it's work, 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 or it's the creative one and it's free and think of all the creative ideas. But now that it's kind of coming to an end, I've been like doing days of painting work, but then doing like really small things and being afraid to mess up work that I've done like deep into my creative time. But now we're coming to an end at that event season, and I really want to get back. So I had to get into it again. And yesterday I noticed I did not want to work on my paintings, but I felt like I really needed to, because otherwise I would really lose the momentum. And I actually really like the works that I'm working on right now. So I started out with something for me easy. And I worked on the background, I worked on the sky, and I just let my color theory, my color mind go, see where it would get me, and I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's not like realistic clouds or anything, but it's more abstract, more me, maybe even. And then I even went on to something a little bit more difficult, which is the face, and I'm happy about that. I put this on really textured, really thick, but I think it really works because the rest is quite thin. I do need to work on some details, but I think I'm going to do that today. And then the background, I was actually pretty happy with it. It's a bit softer, it's a little bit more, maybe even illustrative, but because it works because it's like in this painting, and I don't hate it, which is, I think, the goal. Don't hate it. Anyway, today I'm gonna spend some time on my painting, keep that momentum going. I also need to do some shopping for a workshop I have tomorrow, just like really minimal shopping, and prepare for that. And then that's my day. And then tomorrow is a workshop day, and I'm gonna remove my paintings from an exhibition I've been in for a few months, and it's gonna be really full again here. So that's my week. Yeah. Lunch is in, new energy starting out. Gonna mix a lot of black because I'm gonna do the left side of the painting that's very bare now and make it like really textured. I also forgot my lipstick, so it's gonna be bare lips. I hate it when that happens. But I feel like I need to get going now. And I don't know if it's the right decision to mix all the blacks and grays and whites, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And since I'm in that mood, I think I should do it right now. I signed it, so it's finished. I need to give it a name. I didn't expect to finish it today, but in my enthusiasm, I even wrote down my full name instead of just my first name. So this feels like the start of a new era. My work is going in a different direction, even though it is like an evolution of the previous work. I didn't want to sign it first because it felt too, I don't know, the signature felt too immature. And then I thought maybe I should just use my full name, draw it a little bit differently, paint it a little bit differently, and it feels good. But this one is now also signed. That feels weird because now that means that these two are done and I can work on something different, which is exciting. And I'm actually very happy with how they turned out. So I'm going to photograph these in a good way, so I have good photos, hopefully, if I can. And then we're going to see what I'm going to do. Okay, bye.